Well, look who decided to show up on this Victory Monday.
I don't even need to watch the games anymore. If Ken and Ben are here, I just know the Lions won. You know? That's right.
Welcome to the table, guys.
I love a Victory Monday.
Good to be here.
Nothing like a Victory Monday.
But how about a losing Monday because you weren't here? Neither one of you were here.
I don't show up. Why would I show up for that? That sounds depressing.
I didn't even get out of bed for a
It
whole
was.
week.
Yeah,
I just got out of bed
So you left it
at
to
4 o'clock on Sunday.
So you left it to me, Derek, and Ian to carry that.
I gotta
Great.
do what I gotta do, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it. But the Lions were victorious for the first time this season in week 2 with an absolute pummeling of the Chicago Bears, putting up 50-plus points in that game. A little dicey in the first half, I will say. But do you think that what we saw in week 1 was just maybe the blip on the radar for this Lions team? Because they look like the Lions team that we've gotten to know over the last 2 years.
I think it's probably the worst they'll look all year, and a lot of that probably has to do with the Packers and also not playing, a lot of those guys not playing at all in the preseason. But I think the Lions are probably closer to what we saw this week than what we saw in the first week, but definitely not as good as we saw this week either.
I think it's safe to say that Green Bay is actually really good this year.
Yeah.
And it's also safe to say the Bears are really bad this year. Much worse than I thought they would be under Ben Johnson. But look, they're probably in that, that 1-6 phase that we started with Dan Campbell. So, they got to figure it out.
Did you expect the Bears offense to look like the Lions offense like that?
No.
No?
But
But better than what you saw?
you would think every media person out there hyped the Bears up like crazy this summer, and I think everybody just expected them to hit the ground running.
And that's why the games ain't played on paper.
That's right.
I think that we're only through week 2. Okay, so I think that a lot of the stuff we knew about going into the season remains factual. The Bears are undergoing a huge transition. They may or may not be good. Maybe they'll be better later in the season. Green Bay getting Micah Parsons gave them a huge boost. They're juiced coming out of the gate. Who knows where they will be 6-7 weeks down the road. The Lions are bringing in new coordinators, new offensive line. All that stuff has reared its head so far. That looked a lot better in week 2, but not like back to where they were last year on offense. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of like there's a lot of good that came out of that game, but has it quelled all of my fears about the Lions coming into the season as far as can they win the Super Bowl? I mean, for sure, but I don't think that they're back to their, like we're going to dominate every team. I mean, yeah. Chicago is clearly not ready to play the Lions.
Yeah. So this question for you. Last week, if this is the panic button, your hand was like right there. Where are you now? Are we? I'm going to keep going back. You give me the scale. Ready?
Just put your hand away.
Okay.
There's no panic. There's no panic. Week 1 was bad. I mean, that was like really just like one of those really bad games that makes you concerned for front office all the way down. You're like, what are we doing?
I think week 1 was just one of those situations where, like you said, Green Bay was juiced after making that trade. It's their season opener. We hadn't played any of our starters in the preseason. I think it was just one of those things where you just got to. That's what it was. It was just one of those games where you just got to move on. And I don't think it's going to define them for really any period of the season.
Who impressed you more? Because we saw 52 points. The offense, though, had some ups and downs in the first half. Defense played out of their minds. Which side of the ball impressed you more? Offense or defense in this bounce-back game? It
was the offense for me. Like Ken said, not all of my fears are sort of taken care of, but I do think the offensive line played much better. Jared Goff was clean for pretty much the entire game, which was one of the main things that I wanted to see. So they were very impressive. But Kelvin Shepard, he's done a pretty nice job. I mean, there were some ugly parts early in that Green Bay game, but since then, I mean, this team has looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was the offensive line. They played much better. We got that run game going, and that's the bread and butter of this team. If you don't have that run game going, the rest of it doesn't work. So I was so happy to see that run game back because that's our true identity right there.
On the offensive side, though, to start that game, it was the play-action game that was opening up the run. I mean, because that shows you just how much Chicago respected the run game, even though they ran for, 2 yards a carry in Green Bay. They still had memories of the past of what happened.
I was more impressed with the defense because if I had to pick, what was I more worried about after week 1, I could see the offense bouncing back. I mean, they just have so many weapons, and they were going to figure it out. But the defense coming back with so many players that coming off of injury, all that stuff, new coordinator, you didn't really know what they were going to look like. I thought that they had a really good bounce back game. They forced some turnovers. They had pressure in the pocket. They didn't get a bunch of sacks or anything. I think they had 2 or 3 sacks, but they were causing issues for Caleb Williams, and that was significantly different than what was happening to Jordan Love in week 1, where he was just basically sitting back there for as long as he wanted.
Do you think they had enough of a pass rush?
No.
No? You don't think?
Especially
Okay.
not when the game was actually in doubt.
But it was better. It was way better.
What did you guys think? Davenport gets a sack, and then he's down.
Well, he had left the game earlier, and I was like,
I was just sitting there with my head in my hands, and I was just like, this guy cannot be injured already. But
He was asked about it, and he was like, we'll see after the game. We'll see. So I guess we're all waiting on pins and needles
And
to
I thought
see.
Tyleek Williams had a great
Oh, the
game as
tip?
a rookie.
Yeah, he had a
2
nice
deflected
tip, yeah.
balls. He was getting some pressure on the inside. I thought, that was promising to see a rookie. in
Wait,
week 2.
it's not a rule that when a defensive lineman gets a sack, they must then be injured?
no.
Oh, oh, wow. Yeah, I would have been
They're allowed
worried
to
too
get up.
then if I knew that, because like I saw Davenport go down, I was like, beat goes on. But Tyleek was awesome. I mean, he had 2 tipped passes, right?
Yeah.
And both of them were in big moments too. So yeah, it was nice to see that from him. Caleb Williams for almost the entire first half could stand in the pocket and throw for as long as he wanted to, and that's why they were picking up a lot of third downs. It had to feel really good for the Lions to get a couple stops on 4th down, just because Ben Johnson wanted to go in there and do that. But every time the Bears were passing the ball, I really thought Rome Odunze was tearing them apart, and that's because he just had forever to get open. So definitely still worried about
The
that.
Lions are, for some reason, they are a second half adjustment team. Like the first half of their defense sometimes is like, what's going on here? Are you guys covering anybody? And then they make those adjustments in the second half. Even versus the Packers, that defense was a lot better in the second half of the game. And same with the Bears game. That defense came out, basically shut the game down.
How much different do you think that game feels if the Lions don't get that call right before the half?
Pretty different.
Because the Bears,
They were going to the locker room,
conceivably-
man. They were going to the locker
They
room.
were going to come out with a chance to tie the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, they're down 14. It felt to me like they never.
After
they
that,
never
like
recovered
that,
from
that was the moment that defined the game.
Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know. If it's 21-14 and the Lions just spoiled a chance to score, and Ben Johnson's
After a great
offense,
play by Tesla again,
and Ben Johnson's team comes back out and scores to tie it at 21, I think there's a lot of worry going on in that building.
But it's not like they got a call. Like that was the right call.
But it was incorrectly officiated.
But they corrected it just like they do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I just mean it
I'm
wasn't
not
like
saying the
gifted
Lions
to
didn't
them.
deserve a break, but
It wasn't even a break. It was a correction of the call.
if the ref
they
would
were fully entitled to that play, is my point.
If the ref would have correctly called that Tesla was downed in bounds without needing to review it, the clock would have ran out. It did run out because the Lions went to snap the ball and the clock hit 0. So it's not like some controversial necessarily play, and the Lions have been on the other side of that 10 times more than they've been
Imagine
on
the
this side
talk in
of it.
Chicago today, because there might be
I
having the
guarantee
converse
that's the number one
conversation.
talking point, other than the Lions running up the score and being jerks. But
Did they run up the score?
No.
They could have scored more. I mean,
yeah.
it felt like they left some points on the table.
They really did, because the defense would get the ball and then the offense would go 3 and out,
Yeah.
3 and out,
Yeah.
and it could have been even worse.
When you take
but
the
fourth
quarterback
down call,
out.
and they asked Ben Johnson about this after the game. He was like, "No, I'm not upset because that's what they do. It's 4th down. They're gonna go for the touchdown because they really don't kick field goals."
Yeah.
And he knows better than anyone.
He does.
If you're playing the backup, you're not running the score up, man. That's just the score. Sorry.
If you're kicking field goals up like 4 scores, that's running the score up in my book. At least if you're going on 4th down, you're giving the other team a chance to get a stop. They have
Interesting
fate in their own hands. If you're kicking field goals up 28 or whatever it was at that point, that's way worse in my opinion.
By the way, the Lions, I looked on StatMuse, have put up 50-plus points 6 times in their history. 6 times. 3 of them have happened in the last 14 games that they've played. So maybe
Jared Goff is just
they back.
so electric. Yeah.
Maybe they back. Maybe they. Now is going to be the real litmus test for this team, though, because they are going back to Baltimore, and we all remember what happened in that game a couple years ago. That was before the Packers game. We had the conversation last week that was the last time I can remember this team getting dominated on the football field.
Yep.
How much different do you think things will be this time in Baltimore for this team on Monday Night Football? What percentage chance you're giving them to go off and pull the upset against the Ravens?
20.
Yeah, I got to be around there, about a 25% chance, because this game reminds me of one of those games where Dan Campbell probably has it marked because it feels like we always get dominated in Baltimore. Like, we just never have a chance there. It's like we just have like ghosts in that stadium. And it feels like maybe this is one of those games Dan Campbell wants to exercise the demons and kind of just take care of that. So I could see that happening and see us playing a really good game. But I also think the start of the season is going to have us kind of on this roller coaster of up and down weeks where, you know, maybe after Monday we're hitting the panic button again, possibly, you know, and then we're going to feel really
So
good against the Browns.
What's your
So,
percentage chance?
25% I give it.
A little bit of an increase.
I'll go like 40.
Wow.
Yeah, and
You should bet on
only
that.
because there is no team pettier than the Lions, and I
That's
mean
it.
that in the,
Bingo,
in the
because
best
go
way.
back to last week. Go back to last week when Dan Campbell was asked about the fuel he needed. You know what? He's going back into the reserves from 2 years ago going into this game.
And these guys do not drop a grudge, okay? And you know what's funny about that? The Ravens don't even know that there's a grudge.
Nope. They forgot about
They
that.
have no idea. They're like, wait, they're
what
mad at
game,
us?
huh?
What are you talking about? Revenge game? Well, from what? I feel like the Lions are the team that takes all of that, puts it into their game planning, into everything they do. I mean, all the comments about Ben Johnson after the game yesterday, nothing really before, but you can tell that they were in those player meetings and all that stuff for the last couple of weeks talking about Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, in the media, they were all about respect and how much respect they had
until
for Ben
after the
Johnson.
game.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Brian Branch in the locker room yesterday was basically like, yeah, we want to get him.
Yeah.
We did not like that he went to the Bears. I'm like, okay, thank you for saying everything that we thought you were thinking.
Yeah.
But you know, man, they are there. They're going to Baltimore to try and set things straight.
That wallet's got some receipts.
Yep.
That's all I know.
So-
So it should be interesting. That's coming up next Monday as they take on the Ravens, and then they come back home to take on the Browns. Still much more to come on DSP. We are looking toward the college football season. Big Ten play starting up for both Michigan and Michigan State. We'll dive into that coming up on DSP.